Royce, you're live.
Hello.
You're live on the Bulk Truth, your show.
Great to be here.
You know, you can't manage what you don't measure until you install Kadaro, right?
That's correct.
A lot of people do it by art. You say got a nice little infographic that we're sharing now for those who are listening. But it's the show's title is From Art to Science, Making Bulk Material Handling Measurable. These infographics are awesome.
They are. And this topic actually came up from one of the customers that we've met with that has worked with us over the several years, even prior to us owning the company. And he just made the statement early on when we got involved and we were really seeking out consistent quality data that we were transforming this technology from an art to a science. It's really stuck with me over time and continue to see this almost on a daily basis as far as our travels and the customers that we're meeting with.
So, what does that mean from an art to a science?
So, I think there's two forms. The art, as far as the customer, obviously we have customers that have operators that are very experienced, and so they're at that level of experience. You know, their gut, how they feel about what it's doing, and how close that can be. I somewhat describe that as an art. If they're doing blending or if they're just general operating, their ability to load a truck just by sight and feel. Obviously, that's the art of what they're doing, but it's really individual specific. Not everybody has that same feel. Not everybody has that same level of experience. And then as we see that being transformed, something that's accurate, it's measurable, it's repeatable, it's consistent. That's when we start using data-driven processes to take it more towards the science.
It's amazing. You think how talented humans are. They have all, in this case, dry bulk material flowing through this plant, and it's got to go to a place where it's collected or measured or stored. And imagine these big companies relying on people who have this knack of knowing about exactly how much it is. And so you're taking, successful businesses codify processes. They set up standard operating procedures, but this is a little piece of a well-run company that's still left up to a feeling, a gut. And so you guys are bringing clarity into that situation, because those people, talented as they may be, they they go on with their lives, they go on to other jobs, or maybe they retire. You got to start over. It takes time to develop that feel.
Yeah, and that operator dependency. I mean, as we travel, you hear more and more about how hard it is to find good help, right? And then also, what they need that skilled labor to be doing. And so, moving it from an operator-driven task to something that's system-driven, it's becoming more and more the norm in the industry.
So these areas that are left up to gut or feel, there's a lot of value or data being lost in a way. And so how does the Kadaro system fit into that?
So we've referred to it as the data that's going to be generated, the measurements that we're taking on an ongoing basis for flow rates and weight fuels a digital transformation. Now with that digital readout, it's something that's on a screen, that's quantifiable. They can start creating metrics, KPIs from that, and know precisely how they're operating and how they would like to adjust their operations to continue to create a greater efficiency and more consistent product, higher quality product. Bottom line is it improves the overall yields and consistency of those yields, and goes straight to the bottom line.
So right now, the operator dependent results, you have a lot of manual spot checks. It says here that provide snapshots that hide variability in moisture, density, and flow. And then the results are like a rework in some form or fashion where the truck has to go around. It's overweight or underweight, has to come back around. And so there's just a lot of places that this address, areas that you wouldn't imagine or didn't realize. I guess that's what you're revealing is this data. All of a sudden they have this picture into other things that they can impact or improve.
Sure. So those measurements that operators may be taking at a given point, right? It's a snapshot. So having dynamic measurements that are ongoing, so you never know when did the moisture change? When did the product quality change? In some cases, when did it quit flowing? Because they set everything based off of what they experienced at that moment. But I had one last week that they were using turns on a rotary lock. Well, the problem was it's still turning, but there may be no product going through it. So those are just examples that you're using a manual static approach to something that's very dynamic, and this type of technology is opening new doors and allowing them to look at the problem in a different way.
So your 3-step bridge, talk to us about that.
So the 3-step, we always focus with looking for where's that critical point. Where would it bring the most value to measure? And from that point is normally we're installing a flow sensor to not only measure at that point, but get the customer comfortable with its performance, get operators comfortable as far as how it's going to make their lives better, easier, how it's going to improve the overall result of what they're doing. And once we get that level of comfort, then we start looking to scaling at the facility and across the operation. Where else could these measurements be beneficial? So if you're measuring the input into a process or a plant, that's usually a starting point. And then the second is normally on the output side. And with those two measurements, then starting to be able to calculate, okay, what are my yields? What is my performance? So that's in a processing state. In rail loading, truck loading, it's setting a target, having it automate to a gate. Gate opens, hits 50,000, gate closes, truck hits the scale one time, so they're not cycling trucks, they're not overloading rail, having fines, having a lot of extra labor and effort to achieve a very simple task.
I saw a thing on social media the other day that showed a truck that had been too overloaded and the damage that it did to the truck and to the road. And, of course, the police or whatever were there taking some pictures, and it's amazing. Even on that point, I didn't really, until I started talking to you, think about that, but you're saving whatever could happen down the road, so to speak, right?
Sure. And there's numerous companies that are very focused on that, because in some states there's liability associated with leaving site being overloaded, and so they're looking for ways that they can put processes in place to mitigate that and address that. And this type of technology just helps them as another tool in their toolbox.
So when you go to a plant, let's say that someone's walk us through a scenario where you put one sensor and one critical point. Is that how you begin?
That's usually how it will start. Sometimes there's places that people are more comfortable and they want to do a whole project. They want they're redoing a facility or building a new facility. It's more common that you'll get multiples. But otherwise, in existing facilities, finding that one location and finding a place where it will actually fit without a lot of capex, a lot of rework on the facility itself. It is customary to put in a single sensor to create a single measurement, and once they get comfortable with its performance, then look at other additional applications.
So this is cool. One would think, okay, I want to implement this, but I'm going to have to rework my plant, but that's not the case.
Not always. I mean, there could be some adjustments required, but this is where it's very helpful to have the conversation and give the bigger picture about what the opportunities are. And then with the customer's knowledge, not only of their facilities, but the materials that they're handling, the challenges that are associated with that, and then starting to work collaboratively to identify where would be the best place to install one of these sensors. And in some cases, we're looking at pipes, chutes. Is it a vertical drop? Is it an incline? Is there a certain place that we can flange directly to an existing flange? What is that size? What is the quantity of material flow? And so we've got a step process that we take them through to really identify where the opportunities might be, and then create a few options for them to choose from.
So you have several devices or equipment offerings, and then you have different models that people take advantage. Can you walk us through those?
Sure. So we have two lines. We have a vertical line that we branded as our Veracity series, and so anywhere that there's a vertical free flowing application, that's where we tend to go towards our Veracities. On incline applications, the incline brand is Integral, and so it's either the Veracity or the Integral. From there, within the Veracity, we have our traditional sensors that are round, and so they're vertical rounds, go all the way up to a 10-inch pipe, 5,000 pounds per minute of flow. In our newest series that we launched at the Jeeps Exchange here in 2026, it's our Veracity Diamond. So these are square as far as inlet outlets. They're very compact, so upwards of 20,000 pounds a minute in a 12-inch clearance. And so we're flowing all the way from 1,000 to 20,000 today, with the ability to go below and above. So it's very simple. What is your flange size? What is your chute size? We try to mate directly to that, but the objective with that Veracity Diamond is a very compact space, which is pretty common in all the facilities that we visit. And then lastly is the Integral and the Incline series. We can go all the way up to 50,000 pounds a minute. And so we're looking for chutes that are on an incline, and generally that's where we're going to fit those applications in.
So, you're telling me that, and my mind's going, so you're not slowing down material flow. They can actually speed up in cases.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is actually match what is normal operating as far as the direction of material flow. We don't want to really divert material. So if it's coming through a vertical or an incline, we're going to keep that. There's many times that they're oversized on their pipes and their chutes, so we can oversize the sensor itself. And so we're no obstructions. People tend to like that, because if there's a limiting factor upstream as far as a drive or a belt that maybe they change out in the future and that increases their capacity, then we're not the restricting point. But our goal is to at least maintain what speed that they're operating today. And in many cases, see where we might create efficiencies to improve that speed.
So you have several subscription models, or maybe I'm saying that wrong, but you do have a subscription model. You have talk me through those choices.
Yeah. So and on our website, there's an ROI calculator, and that ROI calculator is based on our subscription model. So we do offer it as a subscription. It's an annual subscription. We own everything. They're just paying to use it on an annual basis. So they get the flow sensor, controls, software, support. It's a one time a year fee, and it's an OpEx expense. And so it's typically the fastest ROI. So from a CFO perspective, the fact that they don't own it, they're paying to use it annually at any point. If they're not getting the results that they want, or something changes in their operation, they can take it out. And so that's the most flexible. The most common is people want to own it. So they want to buy it. Traditional model is CapEx. Typically, that's going to be a longer process that you have to go through to submit it for a CapEx budget, get it approved. And so in many cases, it's not uncommon to see 18 to 24 months in that type process. But that is available as well. So they can outright purchase it with a perpetual use license. And this year, because of our launch of our Veracity Diamond series, we're offering that they can start it with a subscription to prove it out. They build their own numbers. And so it gives them a chance to build what is the ROI for my operation, other than, instead of having a lot of assumptions. and then they have the option to apply that subscription to an owned unit by the middle of December in that calendar year.
That's cool. So I can test run it, prove out my ROI, and move from an operating expense to a CapEx expense.
Correct.
You say.
Yes.
So I had another question for you. So how does the process begin? Do folks they contact you? How does the conversation generally start?
So normally we get inquiries from the web. So there's info forms there or request to call forms, and so it's very standard to either get the request via the web through the Cadaro.com, emails to info@cadaro.com, or people just give us a call. And from there, we usually will set up a virtual session where they can share more about what they're looking for, what problems they're trying to solve, if they have pictures or to help illustrate. And then at the same time, we can share commercial applications that are similar to what they're describing to us to confirm that this is, make sure we understand, and then start building up a proposal that or a project plan.
It's not even necessary for you to make a site visit, right?
In many cases, not. I mean, we're doing more site visits now, but it's been very standard that we just do these virtually.
Then the typical when people think of bulk material handling, you're kind of walk us through just a few of the types of materials that Cadaro excels at measuring.
Sure. So the technology started in seed, soybean seed, corn seed. So measuring different types of seed. Then we evolved in just general grains, processed grains. So it may be soybean meal, different batched feed types or additives. And more recently, we're looking at applications in like plastic pellets, clay products. So it's continuing to evolve into new industries based on people understanding if it's dry and it'll flow, we can help them measure it.
Wow. Exciting stuff, man. To take, every business is trying to optimize, and there's these little areas like this that need to be measured, and they need to give you more data. Data is lifeblood of every business. And so you guys are a perfect fit for a company that wants to take advantage of data. This is a great way to collect data they haven't seen. It gives them options. It gives them insights, and it gives them a way to improve their bottom line.
Yes. And our biggest challenge is awareness. I mean, that's where we still are challenging as a small company, is to continue to get our name out there and make people aware of what we're able to do. And even last week on a few calls, it came out that, people have been searching for this type of solution for some time. And, then they've evaluated a lot of different options, and there's different reasons why they marked through what they thought could be an alternative. But we're getting more and more of them to look at us and starting to get projects going to put this into their plans.
All right. Good job, Royce. We have a QR code here you can scan in this on the video version of this, or the live stream version. There's a QR code on the top right. Scan it. It'll take you to the right places. You can connect with Royce and start a conversation to see what a potential test drive would look like with Cadaro. He's been all over the country here the last couple of weeks, sorry. And very busy, but always available. Just visit the website, fill out the forms. Any last comment, Royce?
No, thanks for setting this up. I continue to enjoy this conversation. It's a good way to get the information out, and look forward to getting new contacts.
More and more folks are going to learn about Cadaro because they're defining the problem in the industry, and they're bringing the solution. So you can't manage what you don't measure, but with Cadaro, you can manage because you're measuring.
That's right.
All right, another great episode. That's a wrap.